Good evening, folks. Welcome to Arclight's Asylum. I'm your host, Zach. We have another episode of Real-Time Painting for you tonight. Quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Aries Minis and Games. Derek's been helping support my endeavors for a few years now. Continues to do so. Check out his web store for anything and everything Battletech related. He's also got a ton of other miniature and game lines available, hobby related supplies, dice, all that good stuff, card games. I am Canadian, but he is my #1 pick for anything Battletech related that I'm getting from the US that isn't coming direct to me from Ironwind Metals or Catalyst Game Labs for promotional purposes. I'll buy pretty much everything from him. So, yeah. Tonight we're going to continue on the work with the NovaCat Alpha Galaxy stuff. Not a lot left to do. Got some basing work. Some of those mechs need jump jets to get painted. I don't know, a couple antennas and things like that. Not a huge amount of stuff. We'll get through as much of the paint work that we have left tonight that we can. Let me rephrase that. My brain isn't working so good right now. It's been a very long day. We're going to get through as much of the paint work as we can tonight. We're going to see how much we can get through. Quick reminder, pop on over to the Discord if you haven't already. In the Real-Time Painting channel, drop those photos of any of your work in progress shots, finished miniatures, any of other hobby and art related stuff you want to share. We'll take a look at it in the end of the show. I have the link in the description on YouTube. I've also got it in the chat on Discord as well as YouTube. So without further ado, let's hop over to the painting desk and let's get to it. What's going on, Scotty? Painting reviews now too? I don't think so. Not per se. I do like to look at the stuff in the Discord, though, at the end of the show and just kind of go over stuff. I think it's fun. People get to share their stuff, get it reviewed, discuss it a little bit. So I guess kind of painting reviews, but not like in a formal sense. This is actually the stuff from the last stream, the paints that we have on here. I whipped a little bit of the excess water and moisture droplets away that were sitting on here just because of the condensation that formed. Jazz hands. Yeah, this is still totally good to use. I just added a little bit of water back into the palette, so we'll crack on just using this. That way I don't need to waste the parchment. So as far as like details that we still need to paint, there's a few things that I've kind of identified. So we have the missile pod front faces for the Timberwolf. So all the actual individual missiles and then the material around those missile tips. We kind of need to determine what we want to paint those as and crack on with that. I'm kind of leaning towards like hazard stripes, but I don't know. I might just do like a, I guess, kind of a non-metallic metal gradient. Maybe, we'll see. That might just kind of flow better with the overall look of this. Be a little bit more subdued. We also have, there's like, I'll zoom in a little bit on the camera. There's a few little like tracking sensors on the nose of the Warhawk. So if I tilt this up, you can kind of see those right in there. There's like kind of like a vertical rectangle with a small like bulge out on the bottom right, and then just like a small horizontal rectangle up in the top right there. So I'll probably do one of them, I don't know, maybe with like a subtle green hue, and then another one I'm probably just going to do grayscale. I think that'll look cool. I'm really digging how the canopy turned out on this. Kind of that little like front nose panel, how it's highlighted. Digging that. The sides came out pretty nice too. Overall, these are coming together really well. I'm pretty happy about it. don't really have any details to paint on the back of this. I do have a little bit of airbrushing to do at some point. I want to kind of build out this star and just kind of create a little bit of light bloom and maybe add a little bit of color hue to that light bloom. Maybe just blue. I might do a pink just because that'll kind of stand out well against the blue. Probably going to do the pink or magenta because my paint daddy Brushido would want that. Yeah, nothing much on the Timberwolf. I don't really want to. I'm probably going to do a little bit of correction on this area. I'll probably just do a little bit of airbrushing because that'll be easy and quick. Got some antennas. We'll just do a little bit of white detailing on those. That'll be kind of quick and dirty. We do have like kind of these little lenses on the Puma. I'm probably just going to do those in the same colors that I'm doing the tracking sensors for the Warhawk. There is actually a tracking sensor on the Firemoth as well. I think a lot of people miss that or think it's like metallic or something. But yeah, it's a tracking sensor of some kind. Like it's like a lens. So we're gonna paint that as a lens, probably grayscale. I've done it on a previous Firemoth and it turned out really good. So I'm just gonna stick with the grayscale on it. Just a nice grayscale highlighting. It'll be pretty crisp. On the Conjurer, we're also gonna do little white tips. Or even stripes. I might do 2 little white details on each. We'll see. And yeah, a few jump jets. There's definitely a few jump jets between these, like the Vapor Eagle, Horned Owl, Conjurer, also the Pouncer. So that's 4 so far. The Nova, that's 5. I have to double check if the Vixen or Incubus has jump jets. I don't know if it does, and the Piranha definitely does not. So, but we have at least 5 mechs that need to have their jump jets painted. So we're definitely going to paint the jump jets tonight. So what I do intend on doing here, I want to do these jump jets how I would just do jump jets, painting just with a brush, and then next stream when we bust out the airbrush on Saturday evening to do a little bit of the work on the stars, we're also going to add a little bit of airbrush light bloom to those jump jets. So that's kind of like the premium jump jet technique versus kind of like what I would call the standard jump jet technique, just using a sable brush. So I want to show, because whenever I do add airbrush work to my jump jets, it's basically this process. I do just the normal paint work, and then I'll kind of amp it up with the airbrush. So it's a mix of both usually. So you can kind of get to see what it looks like to do it the more basic way that still looks really good and looks, it'll still kind of give that glowing effect. But you'll get to see it both ways, essentially, and both work. Alrighty, let's do the antennas first, just because that should go relatively quickly, and it's a simple thing. It's a good way for me to just kind of warm up too, because I've had a long day and I'm beat tired. I'm also going to change the music here because this is a little too slow for me. They're going to be some chill beats, but a little bit more pep in the step. Drops just put my first completed mini in the real-time painting. It ain't great, but it was a good learning experience. Hey man, that's awesome. First painted mini is first painted mini. You finally you painted a mini, man. That's awesome. That's a huge achievement. I have a buddy who bought a ton of Warhammer stuff like 2 years ago, and he still hasn't He's built a number of the things, but he still hasn't painted them because he's too terrified to put paint on a brush and get them painted up. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of this black ink. I just wanna, there's an area on the antenna that had a little bit of blue on it. I had painted these black previously, but just, you know, inevitably I made a little mistake when I was doing some of the highlighting, and I just brushed my my paintbrush up against it when I had some of that Temple Guard blue on it. I am going to adjust my lamp here because this is just not in a good position at the moment. I just want to zoom out and make sure I'm not going to start snuffing out too much of my frame. Okay, I think that's probably good. Dewdrop's not painting them is criminal. I got into Battletech solely because I wanted to paint the minis. No, it's good. Same thing, honestly. Like I got into it for a painting and learning exercise, and then just by happenstance of listening to Tex Talks Battletech and a couple other channels, I just fell in love with the lore. And I mean, I'd always enjoyed playing the games and stuff growing up, like the Mech Warrior games, and the Clicks game, but yeah, I fell in love with the lore when I started kind of diving into it and getting into the different paint schemes and the units behind them. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of white ink. So we're gonna do both of these antennas slightly differently. So I'm gonna do 2 highlight marks on the rear one, and I'm gonna do 1 on the front shorter one. Now, when I do 2 of these white stripes or white markings, I just paint one big one, and then I go back in with the black, and I just kind of paint like a dark gap between them. It's just the easiest way to do it. I find it's the easiest way to make sure that both are an even size. Whereas if I'm trying to paint them onto the black evenly, I just find I have to fuss with it more. So I do it this way. You do it however you choose. I am going to have to do a second coat of this white ink to make sure that it's a completely opaque layer. And unfortunately, the thumb rest on my painting handle is taking all the focus out of my camera. There we go. It's a little bit better. I'm going to rinse my brush quickly, and I'm just going to let this dry for like 10 seconds. Because ink, I don't know, it doesn't, like it just, it takes a little, it's very thin and watery, so it does take a little bit to kind of set and cure before you want to go back in and work on it. Having a sip of a little drink mix that my wife and I make frequently. Non-alcoholic, it's just club soda and like fresh, well, I shouldn't say fresh squeezed guava juice, but it's not from concentrate. It's actual, like, just pressed guava juice. We buy it in big cartons at the store. It is delicious. And a little bit mixed in with some club soda. It's like, dude, it's like 40 calories and it tastes amazing. Super refreshing. If you're one of those people that's trying to kick drinking soda, I highly recommend switching to like just a plain club soda mixed with just like a splash of juice, like even a splash of like orange juice. Oh, dude, and a bit of ice. Way more refreshing than a can of soda or something like that. I will say though, Mexican Coca-Cola in a glass bottle, that shit might take the cake. Might be the best beverage on the planet Earth. And it's really just original Coca-Cola without the cocaine, because they use cane sugar as opposed to high fructose corn syrup. So I'm not going to speak to the health effects of the high fructose corn syrup because I know some people argue one way or another, but it is definitely does not taste as good. That much is obvious, and it's also probably worse for you, honestly. I mean, cane sugar is just, I mean, it's all sugar in the end, but cane sugar to me just seems less processed. Alrighty, so now that we got, I'm just going to clean up this one side there, and I'm going to go back in here with a little bit of black. I'm going to kind of find, I kind of want to find the middle here. I just want to place a line, and I'm going to press it down with a little bit of my brush length over, like, extended past. And what that's going to do is, as I press that down, my brush kind of flicks down and forwards, so that brush tip will travel in the same path and actually paint part of the underside of this. So if you can kind of see there. Just going to kind of go back and forth like that, just to reinforce it. And then I'm just going to start widening out very gradually. Kind of, go a brush width on that side and then a brush width on this side. And literally, I just kind of pick like about the same distance, do a brush width, and that's kind of how I make sure that it's even. And that's why I find this the easiest method. If I just paint this all white, and then I just find the halfway point ish and place that marker down, and then just go brush width, brush width, brush width, brush width until I think it's wide enough. It's just really the best way to make sure it's as even as possible. Come up here. So when I'm coming into an area where there is no black, I just kind of rotate the mini down so I can really see the left and right hand edge of where the black is here, and I'm just going to extend my brush just a little bit past and continue that. And this isn't perfect, like, whoop, lost my grip. This isn't perfect. Sometimes I have to go back in and do a little bit of touch up, but overall, I feel like this is the best approach for this. Yeah, I'm just going to rotate that so my thumb rest doesn't get in the way. Come back to this side here and start bringing it back around the other way. Rotate it back slightly so I can just see that black a little bit more. I do enjoy doing it this way because the white is really easy to cover up with the black, whereas as you saw, it takes a little bit of time to build the white up. You just got to do a couple little layers. But when you're trying to kind of delineate the beginning and end of the white, it's really easy to do with the black. So I'm just going to clean up along this bottom edge of the one detail marking. Make sure I don't have any white spots in this black band. Go around the world quickly. I just kind of hit with my brush tip on the very top of the white on the other one, but that's okay. Kind of rotating this through to make sure I didn't miss any little spots. I'm going to clean up just on the bottom here because it's a little fuzzy. Okay, I'm going to go back and with just a little bit of white and fix the tip of the other one, and I think that one's good. And then I'll probably grab a little bit of black, and I'm just going to firm up around the bottom of the front white detail. Front antenna's white detail. I think that's good. There we go. Got those painted up. Put my thumbnail behind as a backdrop so you can see that a little bit better. Boom. I always find it interesting because I feel like the white sections almost look thicker than the black sections, but they have less layers of paint overall. It's just like a trick of light. Yeah, interesting. Let's take a look at chat here. Just put my first completed. Oh yeah, I saw that. Don't go falling asleep on a sec. I missed that one earlier up in the chat. Do you use hobby glasses to get a magnified view? I do not. I have just prescription glasses. I have a very small prescription. I have astigmatism in my one eye, and I'm just slightly nearsighted in the one eye as well. And my eyes, it's interesting. They have a hard time transitioning from focusing on things up close to things that are far away. I have basically 20/20 vision in my one eye, but I think because my eyes don't match in terms of their like focal plane, I think it takes my brain like an extra like 10 seconds to like parse the data that's coming from my eyeballs. But yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know. Like my eyes aren't the best, but they're also not the worst. So I just rely on the Mark 1 eyeball. Sometimes bring the glasses into it. Hadn't thought to do the striping like that, maybe stealing it. Dude, our consumption of seltzer water is widely over the top with the cessation of soda drinking. Yeah. Yeah. Fizzy water is awesome. I'm a big fan of Pellegrino. Just like a mineral water that's fizzy. It's pretty tasty. Expensive, but tasty. I also like that it comes in a glass bottle. I feel like I'm being a little bit more fancy and B a little bit more health conscious. That was one thing the wife and I started doing about 2 years ago. We started trying to essentially wherever possible, if we can get something in a glass container instead of plastic, we do it. Just because of the whole microplastic thing freaks me out a little bit. Just because there's kind of a lot of alarming data around it. So, yeah. We switched to glass for a lot of things. Unfortunately, milk is pretty much impossible to get in glass. But I don't know, even things like cheese and other things like that, as soon as we get home, we just take them out of the plastic, and we have a bunch of, we slowly, I don't know, like once a month, we'll kind of buy like a handful of different, glass containers that we feel we need at the time. And so we have quite the large collection of just various glass containers. So we just kind of store everything in those. Probably a little bit neurotic, but I don't know. It's one of those things that we can actually kind of control. So wherever possible, we just try to. But then we still buy things that are in plastic, so we don't fret too much. Yeah, I have really hard time focusing my eyes. If I paint without the magnifying glasses, I get a huge headache from trying to keep eyes focused, but I'm almost completely blind in one eye, so it probably doesn't help. So, if you can afford it, get LASIK. There's a lot of people, there's some people that have a hate-on for LASIK for some reason. My wife, and I know a lot of other people that have had really good results with it, but my wife was almost legally blind in her right eye. Like, it was so bad. She had glasses, and literally the one side looked like a reading lens, and the other side literally looked like a Coke bottle glass. Like, it was insane. Her one eye looked huge, while her other eye looked normal. Like, her right eye looked like bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. but she got LASIK and she now has 20/20 vision in both eyes. Like, it's crazy. She didn't have to get LASIK in the one eye. She just got it in the eye that was really bad. And like crazy world of difference. I think her only complaint is that headlights at night are very bright. And I think that's about it. But yeah. From my wife, if you can afford it, get LASIK. This painting stream is not supported by LASIK MD, but in any capacity. Let's go to the Piranha. That's it for a second. I do have an area kind of up here that I'll reinforce a little bit. I'm just going to grab a little bit of ink. I tried to get LASIK while I was in the military, but during the pre-screening for the operation, they found a cyst inside of my eye that could possibly rupture. Oh, dude, that sucks. That is awful. I'm sorry to hear. That sucks. Yeah, cysts are a weird thing. Even benign cysts, like they can cause some weird issues. I think I'm going to paint like a large section here, white, and I paint it white, and then I'm going to do kind of the same approach that I did earlier on the other longer antenna, and then I'm going to make it so this has like 2 white stripes on each and not just one. To make these as even as possible across both antenna. Just trying to find the end point for both sides here. Trying to define it rather. Speaking of eye strain, I'm not wearing my glasses right now. I think I'm going to put them on in a second here because I think my eyes are starting to get a little bit tired from looking at this stuff super up close. I don't get headaches from it, but my eyes definitely get tired and I struggle to focus. Oh no, a little bit of white ink on the corner there, but that's okay. Wipe most of it off. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab. I'm gonna grab my glasses quickly here. They're just behind me on my desk. I'll just have to clean them off briefly. I've been sitting here for like 3 days. I only ever really use them when I'm gaming or painting. Definitely use them. I definitely use glasses when I sit on my computer for a long time because I'm on. You know, you join the infantry, think you're gonna do. You know, you're gonna be out in the field all the time, but no, paperwork. You know, that feel when you realize paperwork is the lifeblood of the infantry. And I do a lot of paperwork at work, so. Alrighty. I got my Hugo Boss glasses on that I've had for like literally since high school. So like 15, 16 years. All right. Zoom on back in here. Was perusing the MacFrog Discord and got excited that I'm able to catch you live. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of MacFrog. He's been gracious enough to use some of my photos in some of his videos. So, um, yeah, I dig his stuff. I always like I like learning about different mech designs and kind of the quirks behind them and some of the weird lore bits. It's interesting. That's one thing. I don't know. I think that's one of the things that BattleTech has over a lot of other universes is just all the different flair behind the tech in universe and all the lore behind literally everything has some lore behind it. It's weird. Whereas I don't know, a lot of other universes, I think a lot of that stuff they leave a lot more ambiguous. Whereas literally fusion engines are getting fleshed out in technical readouts and stuff like that. Like fusion engines from different companies and different factions, and like it's interesting. Hey, I was infantry 2. That's epic, man. How long were you in? I'm still in. I'm been in for 8 years. Yeah, I was in my reconnaissance platoon in my battalion up until about 7 months ago. They all deployed. I'm unfortunately going through some medical stuff. I've had a couple of hip surgeries over the last few years. Tore both my labrums and sheared a bunch of cartilage off in my hips. So the left hip's actually doing pretty good. Doesn't bother me, but the right hip is quite bad. It's far more deteriorated than the left side. I also unfortunately injured it during COVID, and I had to wait a long time to see a surgeon. And the military medical system kind of dicked me around a little bit, unfortunately. So it took me a long time to get imaging. But I didn't have to pay for the surgeries. I got like 3 months off of work each time I got the surgery and had like a phased return to work and got really well taken care of. My chain of command is really, really good. So I am very thankful for that. Like they were awesome. It was just the base hospital that I was a little unhappy with. Well, very unhappy with. But can't do anything about it now. Just moving forward. Hoping to move on to remuster to a different trade or different branch. Do something less physical. I don't know. There's a big push for counterintelligence right now, so maybe I'll go be a nerdy spook somewhere. Who knows? Got a couple buddies. I got a buddy who just got accepted into the role, and another guy who's going to do the course. And if he does well enough on the course, he'll get a job offer and get screened and then get a job offer. So he's done the pre-screening, but you have more screening that you do after you finish the course if they want to take you and actually put you in the job. Int nerds love doing a good security screening. Nighthawks 86 GM has yet to properly explain why they haven't invented cold fusion yet. Howdy, man. Yeah, I feel you, man. My hips and back are garbage now. I entered in 2020, but got a really good VA claim when I got out. Got out this year. Having a command team that cares about your well-being is absolutely critical for soldiers' morale and wellness. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, I know a lot of guys that have been dicked around, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of guys that didn't like my unit, didn't like working in it, but I don't know. Thankfully, I am reasonably well liked by most of the people I work with. Well enough that I've been taken care of well, so I would call that good enough. Doesn't need to You know, I don't need to be a superstar, but you know, having being competent and reliable definitely goes a long way. I don't know, I definitely had fun like my first 4 years. Had a lot of fun. Did a lot of cool stuff. Unfortunately, didn't get to deploy. I've missed out on a few deployments now. Big bummer, but you know, it is what it is. Hopefully, once I remuster and get to start carrying on with my career, I can get some other deployments. They won't be as infantry, but you know, I'll still get to go do something. Firefighters don't ever want to, you know, see houses burning, but also they join the job to fight fires. So just sucks when you don't get to go do the thing you signed up to do, you know. Clean out the bottom edge of this. It's a little bit crooked. It's coming along pretty well here. I think this guy's mostly good. Find the middle in this one here. Thanks for the follow there, Audible Jello. Thanks for the follow as well there, Direwolf. I 100% feel that. I went on 2 training deployments to Europe, but other than that, I didn't see any real action. It feels like I destroyed my body, but never actually served my purpose. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a shit roll of the dice. It's you know, unfortunately, I got in a little bit later. Like I applied when I was 23, but I got stuck in a very grindingly slow recruitment process that took about 18 months, and so I didn't actually like get in until I was 25, and yeah. But once I was in, it was off to the races, man. I did every course I could, everything they threw at me. I just did it, man. Soaked up the knowledge. Even tried to go SF, but it didn't work out because I blew my hip out. And I blew it out in the lead up to my selection. Still went. Didn't know it was blown out, but yeah, barely lasted a day on my serial. Came off 3/4 of the way through day one. My hip basically just stopped working on me. So thought I had like tendonitis or something like that going on. Just like if it was painful, but I could still run and do things. But yeah, eventually, my body just cut off the function to it because my brain was doing things my body was not happy with. And that's definitely not to say, oh, I was almost SF. I was never even close to being almost SF. I didn't even make it past one day in the selection. But I got a lot of buddies there now, so that's pretty cool. It's definitely interesting having a little bit of the veil unveiled. Not that I know a lot of details about everything they do or anything, but you know, I know a little bit more than the average person, even within the CAF. But it is very cool stuff. It would have been interesting to have got in as a younger man and maybe listen to the signals from my body a little bit more when things were hurting. Because I'm sure if I had gotten looked at earlier on and gotten into get imaging and everything and gotten the surgery sooner, probably would have had a lot less wear and tear. But running 450k with a blown axle is not a good call. So don't do it, kids. Look at those. Look at those stripy boys. That's looking pretty slick. I like that. They're looking fairly even. I don't really want to putz around with those too much more. People really underestimate selection for SF. I've seen dudes pass selection, absolutely blow out their knees finishing, and still not get selected and just get sent home, permanently damaged with zero career progression. Yeah, man. It's I don't know. It's like it's the craziest tryout you will ever do in your life. Like you know, if you're a sports guy and people talk about like doing, you know, the NFL combine and stuff like that, and like, dude, nothing compares to doing a selection. You know, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what SF unit you're talking about. They all suck. Like, you know, it's just varying degrees of shit. But you know, they all suck, and they all suck in different ways because all those jobs, you know, each different unit has a different mandate and a different thing that they're working towards. So, you know, they all have to be different. But yeah, but there's definitely a few that are particularly awful, and I did one of the most awful ones you can do, and it was, yeah, it was awful. But again, day one, so. I don't have any more antennas, so let's go on to jump jets. I want to definitely make sure we get through jump jets today. We're gonna go ahead and grab Vapor Eagle. I just want to kind of separate out the ones that don't actually have jump jets. I'm gonna take a quick look at the record sheet for the Vixen, but I'm fairly certain it doesn't have jump jets. I'm pretty sure it's a ground pounder. Pull up my handy app that's called Mech Factory. Well, it's not my app. I don't want to take credit for it. That'd be rude. But you know, it's an app that I have on my phone. Super handy. Wow, let's zoom my phone. Zoom this out a little bit. I know, picture in picture. Look at that. It's old school. Incubus. Vixen. This is just the standard variants. No jump jets. None. Beautiful. I figured as much. Close all that out. Cool. Alrighty. So, first color that I'm going to go ahead and grab here is a little bit of intense blue. This is going to be the base coat, and then the next color that we're going to layer up after this is Sotet green. I'm going to get all these colors laid out here, just that way I'm not having to shake in between layers. You know, it feels like living the life, never going in the extra miles paid off in health dividends. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it is the case. But I do have a lot of cool experiences. before I got into the military too, I had a lot of wear and tear in my body. I did a lot of competitive martial arts growing up, and had quite a few injuries just throughout the years. You know, small ones and a couple big ones, as most combat athletes do. But we just do it for the thrill, man. That's all it is. And then I'll be one of those old guys in a wheelchair being like, "Oh, back in my day," and you'll be standing there, able-bodied, and like, "Yeah, sounds cool, man." Want a hand down those steps? Bedfellas, y'all have a great night. Appreciate the stream. Yeah, have a good one. I'm tired too. I'm going until 10 and probably no later. So I have a friend try to get me to train at the Gracie's gym in New York City. He got so many injuries. I said, nah. Yeah, jujitsu is super addicting. I did jits for a couple years. I wrestled for a couple years. I got injuries. Actually, I still have a herniated disc in my neck from getting spiked on my head by a bad training partner. Unfortunately, there's a relatively new guy, and I was fairly new as well. I'd been going for a few months, and this guy had only been going for about a month. And yeah, I got spiked on my head. It's pretty rough. I ended up going to the hospital getting an X-ray, and they're like, "No, it's not broken." So I was like, "Okay, cool." But my neck was pretty beat for like 2 weeks, and then yeah, went back to training and cracked on. Would get flare-ups like every 6 months or so, and it would kind of put me out for about a week, and then I'd just get back to it. So I'm just filling in with Intense Blue here. Just kind of filling the entire recess here. I'm not gonna do any light spill onto the other baffles, at least not yet. Hello everyone, what's going on, Werewolf? Yeah, some jiu-jitsu gyms are better than others too. Like a lot of Brazilian run gyms can be hit or miss, and nothing against the Brazilians. I love you, my friends, but yeah, there's like a few Brazilian run gyms that are kind of notorious for just guys being a little bit too rough and aggressive, and I don't know, like it's definitely good when you find a good training partner and you guys just kind of flow. And you know, you'll still tap each other like legit submissions, and you know you'll still struggle and everything, but it's a lot more tame. Having a good training partner makes a big difference. Same thing with boxing and kickboxing though, like especially so with those, because like striking is a whole other animal. Like I've had really good training partners and really bad ones that, you know, it was basically a fight every time. And thankfully in my gym, those guys didn't stick around that long because my coach didn't have it. It's Ryan Grant out of Toronto is who I fought under for a while. His older brother Otis and Howard Grant are former world champions. Actually, Otis Grant is the guy that Roy Jones took his light heavyweight title from. Otis and Howard have a gym in Montreal. It's called Grant Brothers, and then there's Grant's MMA and boxing gym in Toronto. That's where Ryan Grant runs all of his training. Pretty good spot. It's gone through some ups and downs over the years, but always good fighters coming through there. Couple boxing world champions currently there. Guys I used to train with. Yeah, you got a broken leg by accidentally hooking my training partner mat strap. Ooh, getting accidentally hooked by a training mat strap. Oh my god, that's crazy. How does it even happen? That's nuts. Oh, so maybe they were standing and like he was in the middle of getting taken down, and yeah, that thing caught his leg. Well, that just seems like a bad facility. Like, why would you have a strap that can hook somebody's leg coming from your mats? That's ridiculous. Oh, like when I did jits at my gym, like we had proper mats with like mat tape. It's like extra wide, extra thick, and extra sticky. Goes over all the seams. So you know you're not dealing with like the mats shifting, and you're not dealing with like getting things caught in between the seams. Yeah, Royce Gracie is a weird dude. I mean, you know, the Gracies had this mystique, and I think once they started to lose their mystique, they got a little bit nutty. But you know, especially if you look at you know, like the Eddie Bravo matches with I think it was Horian. You know, yeah, like the brother, you know, they get super mad after he won, and it's like, dude, like you won fair and square. This is not jujitsu. Like, dude, you know, I don't know. They cool family and all, but you know, they're not the top tier jiu-jitsu practitioners anymore. Cat's out of the bag, and I mean the pool of competitors these days is thick. It's crazy. I definitely enjoyed rolling with little guys. Um, just because I knew like so my first time I rolled, there's this guy Zach. I get that my name is also Zach, but his name was also Zach, and he was about 135 pounds and like 5'10", so he was a twig, like just an actual twig. But this dude wrapped me up and tapped me out with triangle and armbar after triangle and armbar for about 5 minutes straight, and probably tapped me out once every 30 seconds. It was insane. And I was about 185 pounds at the time, like 185, 190, pretty sturdy. And man, like this guy just from the bottom just worked me. Crazy experience, like the first time you get wrapped up like that and you're just absolutely helpless. Getting choked up for the first, like actually choked up for the first time is a pretty crazy experience too. I totally missed Audible Jello's message. Sorry about that. I need to try some glowing effects eventually. I've only somewhat recently started using AP's blue, purple, and orange tone washes to imitate heat oxidizing on weapon barrels and jump jets. That's actually something I really need to start doing more, because I don't really do that on any of my stuff. I just do normal metallics and kind of weather them, make them look dirty, but I don't actually do like the heat of like the heat patina. That's what I'm going to call it, anyways. I've never done like a heat patina on any of my jump jets or barrels. I really should. Maybe the next miniatures that I paint, I'll do that, just to make a point of it. Right. Nice deep blue. told him my money was better spent upstairs in the hobby store at the neutral ground. That's pretty funny. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plop that guy down. Take a look at all these guys. So they're all layered up. I'm gonna go back to the Vapor Eagle here. I'm gonna grab a bit of water. I'm gonna thin down this Soaptech green. It's already an airbrush paint, so it's pretty thin out of the bottle, but I want to have this even thinner. It's like a darker turquoise. So it's not actually green, but you know, it's a green, it's a blue that has some green in it. So whatever, I don't know. It's Citadel. Talk to them about their naming process, because they definitely have some weird names. Definitely wouldn't mind getting my hand on some of the new Formula P3 paints. I wouldn't mind getting into some Scale 75 paints as well. I've heard really good things about them. Like I enjoy my Pro Acryl metallics, and I've heard nothing but good things about their standard acrylics as well. So I imagine those would be a good choice as well. But yeah, I've heard really good things about Scale 75 paints. Good pigments, and they actually list the pigments that they use, which I don't really care about, but if I was a nerd, I probably would. Or like a super nerd, I probably would, because I am a nerd, but I'm not a super nerd. At least not that super nerdy, to where I care about the pigments that are in my paint. But some people do. Someone does. So that's why they put the pigment code or whatever it is on their label, which I think is cool. I think it's cool that there's people that care about that. Kind of covering all of that intense blue with this. Add a little bit more water to this. But the idea here is, because I thinned the paint down, this isn't going to dry completely opaque over top of the intense blue. So you're going to see a little bit of variation just kind of in those recesses. Now, I can already tell, like, these glows aren't going to look great because of just the casting on these jump jet ports. But we're going to continue anyways, because we started it. Maybe I'll surprise myself and it'll turn out decent. Who knows? I don't think they will. I'm just going to focus on the recesses here. That's going to be the best bet, because there's all these little baffle vents. I'm just going to fill the recesses with all of these colors, and I'm going to try to get some kind of like highlight gradient going in there with a little bit of brighter like blue and white. I gotta make sure I don't. Honestly, it's really the ones up here that are gonna look bad, the ones on the torso. The casting on that is really bad, and the casting on this is really bad. I think this guy's the favorite out of the batch for me. The horned owl. I think he takes the cake. I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of refinement on the laser glow on this guy too. Because the I do find that this laser glow line is a little bit crisp. I wouldn't mind adding some darker green fade just slightly around that sharper line. I was looking at the one that I did for my Sigma Galaxy stuff that's in Tiger Stripe, and I have a little bit of a darker green gradient around that band of light, so I think I'm going to add that in after this. Because that won't take long to refine. It'll take maybe 10 minutes, if that, and then it'll just be done. It'll look a lot sharper too. Popstar Arclight, glaze the dark green in. Yeah, I'm gonna glaze the dark green in to this thing right here, just on the kind of the outsides of that main light band on the top of the hand, just to have a bit of a less harsh drop off in the brightness, because there would be some more drop off. That's pretty steep right now, so I definitely want to refine that a little bit. But anywho, we're going to crack on with layering up a little bit more of this Sotek green, which is, again, not a green. It is a turquoise. Fill that in. I do like that these ports in particular are kind of big and deep. Correction, big and wide. Very pronounced, but not deep. They're kind of shallow, but they have like a good recess, so light still catches pretty well, but you have good recesses to kind of put colors into. It's nice. Tremendous. Thank you. I was looking at some of the stuff you've been putting in the Discords there, Comstar Knight. You got some cool stuff you've been working on lately. Grab a little bit of the Temple Guard blue. I'm thinning this down really well. So this is a brighter, this is kind of like a cyan. Just gonna kind of fill the recess, just like so. This is very watery, and it's an airbrush paint out of the bottle. It's pretty thin, but I've added a lot of water to this as well. So this is very bright right now, but as this dries, the brightness is going to drop a bit, just because that's the nature of paints. They always dry a little bit darker, but also the opacity is going to diminish as well. Nobody's ever really going to look at those ones down there, but, you know, it would be kind of stupid to, or I feel it would be kind of stupid to do all these and not do those, so we're going to do those. Yeah, I got on a non-metallic metal kick, wanting to challenge myself with something. I hated painting. Nice. Yeah, I have a little piece that I did a little bit of non-metallic metal practice on. I'll probably bust it out toward the end of the stream just to show. It's like a command vehicle. The actual, it's called the Omniscience vehicle from Metalcore Collectibles. It's pretty cool. It's just like a massive, like semi-tractor trailer looking thing, but like militarized. And yeah, it looks like a massive like HQ vehicle, massive mobile HQ. So that's what I play it as. Thank you. I've been on a rampage of painting. I'll crash in a few days. Yeah, I've had those manic periods where I've gone on like a tear for like 3 weeks, and then I'm just like I can't look at a paintbrush for like a few days at least. Usually a good week. I'll just like play video games or read until I get the bug again. I'm like, okay, I gotta paint. Having a kid definitely made me temper the amount of painting I do. And it's not a bad thing. It makes me spend more time with my wife and all that too. So it's a good benefit. But it was definitely an adjustment. You know, going from being able to paint for hours every evening, ultimately, because my wife likes to go to bed early, and or you know, I had a kick there for a while too, where I would go to bed at like 8:30, and I would get up at like 3:30, and I would paint for a couple hours in the morning before I'd get ready for work and go work out and all that stuff. Oh. Pop Chicken, you up for a bit of riddle? Working with a limited palette: royal purple, turquoise, dark hot pink, bismuth yellow, orange, coal black, and bold titanium white. How would you make a dark jade color? Oh God. Don't know. Hmm. Turquoise. I mean, maybe turquoise and the yellow? Like turquoise and the bismuth yellow? That might be your best bet. Yeah, I think if you did the turquoise and bismuth yellow, because the turquoise has blue and a little bit of green already in it, and then the bismuth yellow will mix with the blue tones and make it more green. I just don't know how bright it would be. I don't know if it would be an actual jade green. I guess it also depends on your definition of jade green. Like I feel like jade green is like not a single tone of green. I feel like jade green is more of like marbled isn't the right word, but you know what I'm saying? It's got a little pizzazz to it. Gets me a lime green. I think I'm gonna try to mix a periwinkle out of the purple. Then mix in some yellow. Oh God, you're. Uh, if I want jade green, I buy jade green. I don't mix paints. What is this? Why are you torturing yourself with this, Scotty? That's a cool exercise though to do the limited palette. I've never really done that. I definitely like taking like little learning experiences once in a while. Just like take a couple techniques that I'm not super strong with and see if I can make a really nice miniature out of it. I don't want to jinx us, but I do think that we might be able to get all of these finished by the end of Monday's stream. I think Monday will probably just be basing. Like, we'll paint the bases before Monday, probably Saturday. We'll paint the bases, and then I'll varnish them. Probably off camera, because varnishing isn't exactly like really good viewer experience level content. But then on Monday we can do the basing, because we're going to add some vegetation and a decent amount as well. So Star, happy to see another member of the pond. I'd wave, but I have no hands. I just noticed that. No pain, no gain. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of I have a little bit of arcane blue here. Now, I don't want to completely snuff out all of the stuff we did before, but I'm gonna add this into kind of like the bottoms. It's just a little bit brighter and more saturated than the Temple Guard blue, and I'm just gonna kind of add it into like the lowest recesses, essentially, lowest areas of the recesses. And I am thinning this down very heavily too. I want this to be very thin, like not quite glaze consistency, but like very thin, like very watery thin. So it just kind of flows off the brush into that recess, and won't be opaque. To this. And after we do this with all these, we're going to come back in with a little bit of white ink, and we're going to glaze a little bit of white ink wash into the recesses. And then on some of these more prominent ones, we're going to, like these ones, we're going to do some spot highlighting with a little bit of white ink as well. I do kind of like the side, and then the bottom, and then the side. Side, bottom, and side. These ones are easy to show because they're really nice rectangles, and they have these great grooves and these little recesses there. Just like so. Very rich in tone, which I enjoy. I'm going to focus on kind of like the middle 2/3 of all these baffles and kind of leave the edges a little bit darker. Definitely did not eat enough today. I think once we finish the stream, I'm going to go... I had to run a bunch of errands after handing my daughter off to my wife when she got off work. Had to go get groceries and a few other things in town. We live out in the country, so I had to rip into town and go get a few things. So I didn't really eat much dinner. I just had a quick nibble on the dumplings that we made, and then ran out the door. I'm definitely going to go get a little bit more food before I go to bed, though. Or else I'm going to probably wake up a very hungry boy and might not sleep as well as I could. Fill in the main recess, but towards the bottom on this one, I think. If I can rinse some of that out, actually. Reinforce the edge there. That's okay. I'll just fill in this one a little bit more. Those are pretty good. One with the pouncer here. We're going to focus on that central one there, the deepest recess. I'm really going to fill this one. And And then kind of that little rim around like here, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. And then I'm going to kind of go around the world on these ones. Make sure those get filled in well. Moisture. And just adding a little bit of moisture to these, and then I'm going to wick a little bit out. So I'm just basically kind of thinning the paint while it's in the recess and then pulling out the excess. Just like that. So I kind of want that bright ring around because when I add the glaze of white into this and then create that central hot spot of light with the white, it's going to create a nice effect. So that's pretty good. I like that. Alrighty. Let's kind of show you what I'll do here. I like to use kind of the back end of my brush sometimes, just like the handle. I'll just kind of like do that. Just get a drop, move it over. I form a little bit of a bigger puddle. And then from here, I'm going to get a big drop of water and plop it on there. Grab a bit of another one here and plop it on there as well. Mix that in. So now this is fairly thin. Let's thin this even more still. I like testing the consistency on my thumbnail just because it's a good proxy for the surface of a miniature. Add one more little drop here too. I do also have pipettes, which are very handy for this, but sometimes this is just a little bit quicker. So go ahead and drill that out. This is very thin now, so this should probably, yeah, this is like a proper glaze consistency now. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit and kind of wipe off some of that excess because I don't want my brush to be completely flooded. And I'm basically just kind of wash this into the recesses. And I'll kind of just do it like a temperature check visually and just see if I need to wick some out, because sometimes that is a thing. My camera's having a hard time focusing here. I'll just zoom out just slightly. Get you something to eat, man. Man, brush so sharp. My brushes be hooked because I'm a damn savage with my brushes. Paint thumb is real. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the first year and a bit that I was painting, I didn't take great care of my brushes, so I went through quite a few. Thankfully, they were not high-end brushes, or else that would have been a lot more painful. Just gonna wick a bit out of here. A little bit more into these. The excess. Oops. You can see how that significantly brightens up. Just adding that glaze of white really brightens up the blue quite a bit. And then especially with that glaze settling into the little grooves and the recesses, it makes a nice little effect. And if it looks way too much, just do what I did and quickly rinse your brush, wipe off the moisture, and then just wick out any of the excess you don't want in there. That's good. I feel like this one's not as neat and tidy as it could be, but whatever. I don't care. Big thing with brushes, I would say, is rinse often. Rinse often, I should say. Enunciate a little bit more clearly. But yeah, rinsing your brush frequently and just making sure you keep them just keep them clean, and don't let paint dry on them, and especially try not to let paint go up into the ferrule. I also have different brushes for slightly different things. Like I try to use a different brush for metallics, and if I'm going to use like contrast paint or anything, I also use a different brush for that, just because certain things will beat your brushes up a lot more quickly. This looks beautiful. I quite enjoy this. Yeah, I got the Princeton set from Amazon, $20 for 8 brushes. Don't have to be tidy, sells the idea. Yeah, fair enough. I will definitely say that having a good quality brush for detailing makes a huge difference. Like you were talking about how sharp this is. Like this is a number 2. This isn't like a small brush. This is a number two brush. So it's a pretty big brush, but it's just got a really fine tip on it, and that's why I do all my detailing work with number 1s and number 2s. Basically never touch 0s or double 0s or anything like that. Quite happy with this so far. Absolutely a number 2, yep. Brush care is just really the thing you need to worry about, and I know it's not a glamorous thing, but it you know, a quick little like I take a few minutes at the end of every painting session to quickly, like especially after, you know, when I stream, it's after I end the stream, I'll quickly go clean my brushes. And I just use my paint pot, like my water pot. I'll just use that, water, and my paint soap, or my brush soap rather. God, I'm dyslexic right now with the English language. I'm using the wrong words to describe things. Maybe I have aphasia. Uh-oh. But you know what I'm saying. Zeros and smaller, and the paint dries out way too fast. Yeah, that's exactly my experience. That's why I don't really go with anything smaller. I like to have a big brush belly that can hold some moisture so my paint lasts a little bit longer. You know, I still rinse frequently, but I think that's just a measure of good brush care, personally. Adding a little bit of moisture to these ones just to kind of spread out and thin out the little bit of ink I put into these recesses. So I think that's pretty good. And when we come back in with the just straight up wood ink and add our hot spots, it'll look pretty good to go. I find having the bulkier brush makes detailing nicer because it carries more paint and you're not running back and forth to the palette as often, so lines stay more consistent. Yeah, I agree 100%. And even like, I mean, again, like a lot of these smallest details that we've painted here, I've done with a number 2 or number 1. So I've had so many people ask, like, what brush do you use? And like nobody, like there's so many people who don't believe me in the comments when I tell them it's a number 1 or number 2, but you can see it right here. White Fox SG, hey, happy to see you in the chat. It's out before I get any coffee staining. So, getting all that into the recesses. Looking pretty slick, I like it. I accidentally added moisture to this. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to wick that away. See if we can try this again. Yeah, deposited very tiny amount in there. Okay. Pretty good. Nice and bright with that direct light in there. And then once we add that actual hot spot of white, it's going to look even brighter. Who does number 2 work for? You too, hope you're well. Thanks a lot, man. I was literally just typing that. I typically never go smaller. My dog just came into my office. Oh, what's up, buddy? What's going on? How are you? My wife is just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, what's up, buddy? It's totally fine. Buddy. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, I was reading the chat. So literally just typing that. Typically I never go smaller than the size 1. As to the size, it's a good quality tip that matters, right? Yeah, 100%. Probably need to get rid of my brushes I have, well worn and 2 years old. Hi, Zach's wife. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, she's doing better. She was pretty sick the last couple of weeks, last week and a half. But she's doing much better now. My daughter's healthy again too. She had pink eye for a little bit, so it was running rampant through the daycare, unfortunately. So we kept her home, and then they ended up like doing a big purge in the daycare, and they cleaned everything, floor to ceiling. Definitely very happy to have a good daycare, and we have it's right on base too, so very helpful. So I'm just adding, like in these rectangular ones, I'm just kind of adding this like central line. You'll see I'm adding in there. Trying to make this as thin as possible and keep it within kind of like that that round, blob of light that we're creating. I'm not going to bother putting them in the underside ones. I think we all get the point that those are glowing. Yeah, these ones up here are just kind of not great, unfortunately. They could be better. Some paint where I didn't want to. Well, I'm going to call that good enough. I'm going to be coming back into this with the airbrush anyways, so some of this stuff, a lot of this is going to get smoothed out. That's one of the things I do enjoy about the airbrush is it smooths a lot of the stuff out if you come back in. But these came out really well down here. The casting's a little bit weird in the recesses on these ones. It's just not quite even. So, whereas this is nice and crisp, so everything flowed right into those recesses really, really nice. Glad to hear your wife and kid are doing better. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, it sucks having a sick kid. Like, it's the worst, honestly. And then, you know, when your partner in crime goes down for the count as well, it's equally not fun. Ah, that was a bit too much. Rub that out before it sets in place. I'll blow some of the moisture out of there and let it dry. Make sure I suck out some of the moisture in my brush. Some of the moisture out of my brush there. There we go. Nice and bright. You in a little bit here. Coming together. Quick and easy, nothing fancy. I'm honestly not going to do anything more with these, just because these jump jet ports are just really pretty haggard. And me adding white into an area that's already got some small amounts of white into it, I just don't really see the need for this one. I'm going to come into the R3AL though. I'm going to go ahead and running some of the excess off the tip of my brush on my palette there. I just had a little bit of a bead of water rolling down. You can kind of see it glistening against my finger. That almost rolled onto the brush and mixed with the ink. That would have been no good. One little central line. So it's a little bit thick, but that's okay. Good to go. Yeah, these ones will be just central dots, which is kind of nice. Just kind of stipple this in. And then I'll kind of do similar thing, but smaller on these. Bold, oblong. Not my best work because I'm a little bit tired. That's okay. Pull some of that moisture out and then reattack this thing. Wait for that to dry a little bit. I'm gonna grab a little bit of that thinned inked waves and just kind of tap it in here, especially in that central one. But that glaze will kind of temper that a bit. So this is like very basic, but this gets the point across that you have glowing jump jets. Really love the way the Earth rotates. It really makes my day. So it's very simple. This is not like fantastic. This is not going to win you like painting awards, but this gets the point across. I'm also I'm tired, and I'm not being as neat with these because I'm going to be coming in with the airbrush the next stream, and just kind of smoothing this out. It's really simple. It does take a bit of trigger control and practice aiming. So you can make sure you're actually hitting the right spot with the airbrush, but it just makes this so easy and cleans this up quite a bit. But I like doing this regardless if I'm doing the airbrush, because this just kind of builds the base, and then the airbrush smooths this out, and then like kind of these areas that aren't quite even, that adds a little bit of subtle variation that you would naturally have within the glow of a jet plume. So it all fits. What time is it? Let's take a look at the clock here. It is 9:55, folks. I'm going to quickly hop over to the PC. We'll hop into Discord, take a look at the real-time painting channel. We might even pop into the miniature painting emporium as well, just because. And we will close out the stream here. I am going to quickly, just because I just have the one brush I need to clean, I'm just going to quickly clean this. So I do my dirty rinse and my, and by dirty rinse and clean rinse, I mean my dirty rinse and my clean rinse. I always have the two different waters. That way I don't have to worry about contaminating other paints with different colors. And I'm just gonna kind of work that in a gentle circle. So I've got a bunch of soap on the brush. I'll just kind of go like that, work it into the bristles, and then I'll rinse it out. And then I usually just kind of wipe my hand on my damp paper towel. There, that's gone. And now this is nice and clean, so the kind of finishing touch here is I'll wet this again, and I'll just rub it in this, so it just starts to create a bit of a, you can just kind of see a tiny little bit of soap in the moisture on the tip of the brush. That's exactly what you want. That's just a tiny little bit. From here, I'm just going to set this down sidelong, and I'm just going to drag and gently twist. And that's going to bring this to a nice point, as you can see. And then that little bit of soap is going to stay in that brush and help to keep its shape. And the brush, the companies all recommend let it dry, then put the cap on. I always just put the cap on, man. It's the other end's open to the air. It's gonna dry just fine. I just see that, and boom, it'll hold that shape. And then when I go to take that brush off my my little shelf here, I just give it a quick rinse before I go and apply and dip it into my paint. Quick little brush cleaning tip for you, and brush conditioning tip. And one thing you can do is lather up a lot of soap. If you have a brush that's kind of starting to get a little funky, lather up a lot of soap and then just work it out onto the paper towel and form it into a tip and let it dry like that. And it should help to recondition the brush bristles back into a tip. So long as you don't have paint glued like or dried deep in the ferrule of your brush. So, but then you also have Winsor & Newton's brush cleaner and conditioner for that, which I also have. That's for like the hard stuck-on stuff. Anywho, I'll leave that open just so this can breathe. Slide that out of the way here. Alrighty, let's hop back over to the PC and we'll do the last little segment of the show and then close it out. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Discord. Boom, real-time painting channel. We'll roll back a little bit here. I know Suge has been doing some stuff. Okay, so this is from the last stream. Comstar was talking about his Knight was talking about his SLDF crab. It's pretty good. Freehand. I like the amount of freehand that you do. It's good that you do that. It's good practice, honestly. Like, I didn't really start kind of doing freehand until about like 2-ish years ago, something like that. And a little bit more recently, just to try and get some practice on it, but no, it's good. Look at that. Not bad at all. I like that, the little shaded version of the 7. That's pretty slick. I like that. Suge, I did see his preview for this. People asking like, what is this? And I, my guess initially when I saw it was going to be like a river diorama base for his photo stage, and that's what it is. And he does this so he can basically, like, he leaves it like this. He doesn't glue anything else to this. He does a little bit of water effects down here, and then adds a little bit of vegetation around the river. But he leaves all these other areas open so he can place scatter terrain and like vehicles and stuff like that. And then he can use a backdrop and then shoot from any angle on this photo stage. It's very, very neat. Like all my photo stages are kind of like unidirectional. His is omnidirectional. He can kind of turn this at any direction and take a photo from any angle, which is really cool. Yeah, as you can see here, this is kind of similar to how I set up my photos, although I usually have my photo stage sitting on something, and then I usually have just a little bit more space than he has between the back of my photo stage and my backdrop, just because I don't want any shadows on my backdrop itself. But yeah, he can like just move all of these things around to different spots and then reorient the stage and take photos from whatever angle he wants. It's pretty cool. Oh, the memes. Alrighty. Dexter De Santos. Oh yeah, this is this Audible Jellos? Who was this? Or was this Dewdrops's, I think this was Dewdrops that put this in here. Yes. Yeah, this is from Dewdrops earlier in the chat. I just wanted to confirm so I could give him proper credit because his name isn't the same here. Yeah, not bad for your first painted mini. Not bad at all, man. I think he had to leave, but yeah, this is not bad for a first painted mini. Better than my first painted mini, I'll tell you that. Oh, nice. Comstar. Okay, so this is work in progress on Sky Earth Non-Metallic Metal. I like it. You can see him, he's kind of placing the highlights. He hasn't really put the ground tone in yet. That's where all this dark shading is. He's going to eventually be adding ground tone. It's cool. And these guys, I like the two-dimensional bases. The Exterminator, dude. I love the Exterminator. It's a big. It punches down, but it's good for its purpose. Like what it it's good what it was designed for, or good for what it was designed for, I should say. The old guillotine, Marauder, classic, Mongoose. Oh no, sorry, that's the Hermes 2, I believe, right? If I'm correct, Hermes number 2. I know my mechs. I'm getting into the Discord now, but I've been sharing all my work in Mech Frog's Pawn. Nice. Exterminator's a fun mech, yeah, definitely. I like the polarization shield. I like that whole idea where it can just turn invisible. Firestarter, right? That's a Firestarter. Yeah, Firestarter. Got the flamer arms. Rifleman, Banshee, hell yeah. Oh, nice. Man, you've been crushing through these things. You got a whole company, no, company plus. Yeah, like you got a reinforced company of SLDF Max. That's awesome. Oh, Whitworth. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. I totally knew that. Let's take a look at the artwork. Oh, it's Voxel Forge's a Highlander that he was showing off. Wildly different aesthetic to anything from BattleTech. I like this. The Locust just absolutely covered in battle armor. And all the hand railings. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm a big fan of 2D art. From McCrackus. Really cool stuff. Take a look at the miniature painting emporium quickly here. There's been a few things being posted here. Yeah, this is Comstar Knights, Sky Earth non-metallic metal, Flashman. I'm curious where this texture comes from here. Looks like you have a little actual physical texture. Did you initially try to glue on some basing material, or was that just bad casting of the miniature? Curious to know. Nice. Yellow is always, especially early on in painting, like people just don't really, like yellow is a hard one to figure out how to layer up, but once you figure it out, it makes a big difference. I would highly recommend for Hyena, I'll have to put a text message in here, but if you're gonna paint yellow, I definitely highly recommend layering on like orange or brown first, and then layering up the yellow. It'll make your life a lot easier. Some Infinity miniatures. This is from Ray White. Works on kind of the design / production team for Catalyst Game Labs. Does some really good paint work and really good 3D sculpting. Does a lot of the parting for Ironwind Metals, like the Savage Wolf miniature. He did all that, and it's pretty good stuff. Man, TARDIS. I haven't seen him in the stream chat last 2 streams. Hopefully he's doing well. He's got some good stuff. He's starting to get pretty good. I really like his red. He highlights pretty well. Love the dragon. Oh, nice. The awesome. I think that's the, I can't remember which variant that one is. 8T. Nice. Ah, and then Scotty working on this. Very, very vaporwave-like. I like that. It fits the theme of the music right now. This song was meant for it, Scotty. We're going to turn the music up for this. It's good, yeah. I definitely dig the synthwave, vaporwave theme. It's pretty cool. Oh, what is this Snord Frankenmech? My goodness.
Alrighty, that's pretty cool. That's some good stuff. All right, well, I think that's about it, folks. I'm gonna go have a snack and kind of get ready for bed here. I do have to work tomorrow. Got a busy day. It's been a really busy week. Getting back to work, been a lot of reorganization going on in my unit. So yeah, doing lots of paperwork and moving people and equipment around. So yeah, hoping to get the stream going again on Saturday evening. It will be at 8 p.m. I do think potentially going forwards, I might move the streams to 8:30 during the week. We'll see. I'm going to do another couple weeks at 8 p.m. But there are just a couple evenings where it is hard to get started by 8. It's usually not a super late start, but it is annoying to have these 10, 15-minute late starts. So I'll try to snuff those out and avoid those in the future. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. You know, it is a casual show too, but I do like being on time. It's kind of beat into me by the military, unfortunately. So happy to see more people posting in the Discord. Share the link to your friends, get them in there. I want to keep the community growing, and I really love seeing all the paintwork that people are posting in there. It's been really awesome. And it's really nice to see some of the regulars constantly in the chat. It's awesome. Thanks for spending your time with me tonight. Next show is Saturday at 8. Don't miss it. We're going to crack on with kind of the last few details, like sensor suites and stuff like that. And we'll paint the bases and do a little bit of last-minute airbrushing on the jump jets and a couple stars. It's going to be awesome. And then, yeah, Monday should just be flocking, like adding the last bits to the basing, and that's it. These guys will be done. We'll be moving on to the next thing. It's been awesome. I think it's been about 4 weeks now that we've been working on these. So, yeah. But thanks for staying with me. It's been a very relaxing evening. I appreciate it. Hope to see you next time. Have a good night, folks.